in a fair and equitable way. During that time, there's lots of conversations with our chief of police and also with our sheriff and other law enforcement agencies where they're really trying to make a difference. So that's a work in progress that we have to continue to be watchful of. The biggest challenge is what's going to happen to our young people, not just in the state but across the nation. Again, we talked about this earlier. Our young people, for some reason, are getting left behind, and it's just not, the numbers. It's really young people are finding themselves not finishing school and finding themselves in the criminal justice system in alarming numbers, and nobody's doing anything about it, and it's just disturbing that African American men, are missing, and the core of the African American family is being eroded and broken down. The sisters are stepping up, and raising the families, but the families are being hurt because African American boys are failing in school, and we're focusing here on this school to jail pipeline. When you see kids, young men in particular, failing in school, that they're on a path for incarceration or some other unfortunate outcome. And so we're really pushing, and I work with, I'm in a 100 Black men here, and we have what we call a SOAR program where we're doing mentoring of young men and really trying to give them a respite, from drudgery and things like that. So a lot of people are pulling, really, trying to make a difference here. National politics. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. What were you saying about national politics?
I was just saying national politics are just disgusting today, and it's not just for African Americans and Latinos. Although Latinos and this immigration issue is a bad, thing, the direction that we're going in, but the country as a whole, it's more divisive, and it's really things happening that are dividing us more so than bringing us together. And it's just that tone, coming from Washington, D.C., that's really isolated us, within our country, but isolating us from our allies abroad. So there's just a lot of work to be done, not just in Black America, but America in general.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and it's still a crime and shame that y'all have to deal with that whole kind of thing. Killed by the police officers. I remember when we were in the whole Ernest Mason. Talked about Savon Martin, the other people. I was making those protests, and that was in the early 80s. He was just, as I recall, not unnecessarily as well as he was even from a certain scene and everything. So there definitely went to that case, and remember all the protests that we were doing. That was in the early 80s, and we're in 2017.
Oh, yeah, that was Ernie Lacy. Ernie Lacy, right? Yeah.
I definitely remember that case and everything, so that's just a shame that these kind of issues are still there. Actually, my co-host, going on.
Yeah.
Involved in the law enforcement. Then you want to jump in and share some of your views of what's going on with the penal system, since you've been involved in that for a number of years?
What's that?
I'm having a hard time hearing. Can you hear me? Dean, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I can hear you now, brother.
All right. I was just asking you if you wanted to jump into the conversation and share a little bit about what's going on in the penal system there in New Jersey. You were hearing some of what Rueben was saying, and Rueben has been involved in the Urban League, but I know you've been involved actually on the day-to-day kind of work with the work that you're doing there in New Jersey with being right there in the penal system.
Well, what we're trying to do here in New Jersey is prepare individuals to leave incarceration and, hopefully return to their communities and stay there. We have, in the Office of Transitional Services, we have like 6 core programs. You have the reentry preparation program, deployment readiness, anger management, cognitive behavioral, family reunification. You know, we have those programs in place for individuals to start to better themselves, in addition to the educational programs. In some institutions, they are able to learn a trade or work with, like, the plumbers or the electricians. There is, like, a carpentry course and hair care, like barber beauty school type thing. Instead of the old school way of locking them up, throwing away the key, you know, trying to make a better person, better than they were from the day they first came in. And a lot of times that is what is not seen, that is not reported. You know, staff get up and they go to work every day to help mold minds and change thought processes. But the only thing you see on the news is, oh, these private prisons. So the majority of people who don't work in this business or are not around it believe that the majority of lockups, jails, and prisons are privately owned, which is not the case. There are that's actually the minority, but what is going on in those private prisons is a throwback to the old days. Warehouse them, put them in there. We don't care what happens to them. Kick them out, and if they come back, we keep the light on for them. Whereas, on the other hand, on the opposite side, reentry is a very big thing, trying to prepare those. Now the trick is getting the community to link with, you know, the system, so that when individuals come out, they, you know, won't have such of a hard time. They put in here in New Jersey the Opportunity to Compete Act, where an individual cannot be asked, have you been convicted of a felony, on any job application. Now, they do have the right to, you know, ask that in an interview, but no longer is that the, you know, as soon as you get the application, have you been convicted of a felony? If yes, please explain. That is now illegal to ask, which is a start in the right direction, because there are a lot of men and women who made a mistake, and now they're paying for their mistake. They shouldn't have to pay for it after they've done their time. You know, some people were doctors and lawyers before they made their mistake. And there are a whole bunch of smart men and women behind the walls, not only in New Jersey, but nationwide. And that stigma of you're the worst person in the world has to leave, because if everyone took a look in the mirror, or even at their own families and people that they hold close, at least one or two of the people that they hold dear to them, if not themselves, have been either arrested or incarcerated. So, you know, sometimes we throw boulders at glass houses, and we forget to open our windows when we're throwing them. You know, so it's things that have to change now. The big thing right now, are reported incidents of law enforcement officers, you know, acting in a less than, how can I say this, respectable manner. And even those officers are the minority. You know, you have individuals who their only thing that they think of once they lace those boots up and walk out of that door is, God, help me get home the same way I left. You know, and then you have the minority who say, I'm in control, I rule the world, you do what I say, or I'll punish you. And the media is a big part of that as well. They have to make their money, so they're not going to report what newspaper, magazine, or anything reports all of the good news. None. Right. They make more money by selling the slop. So, unfortunately, someone was killed or, you know, beat down or whatever it was. That's going to make national news. but the everyday officer that's doing his job to make his community a little bit better, like Officer Tommy Norman of the Little Rock, Arkansas Police Department. I don't know if he's been promoted now or not, but he used to have video posts on Facebook, on his own Facebook page. He like community policing. He's the true definition of it, and he would interact with all of the folks in his area of responsibility, and you could just see the genuine, him being genuine, honest, and respected him. He respected them. And then somebody said, you can't post that anymore. So now he can't even put up, and it wasn't to make himself famous. It's just, this is my community. I am in charge of this area right here. These are my people, and I am their officer. And it was good to see. And now, because people like drama more than they like feel-good things, they shut them down. And it's like, how do you lift up if you keep pushing down? And it's the same way with us. Like I was telling Mark a couple of weeks ago, I had the privilege of being seated at the same table with Bobby Seale, right, at the NAACP state conference. And I asked him one question. I said, what do you think about the things that are going on today? He said, well, one big thing that I see, and I may be wrong, and I was like, well, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, but he said people don't investigate things first, come up with a plan of action, have a contingency plan just in case something in that original plan doesn't work, and then follow through. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? He's right. Because when something happens, a lot of times we react first. So instead of coming to the Urban League or the NAACP and saying, hey, look, this is a problem here, and this is what we want to do, but we need your help guiding us in the right direction. They don't do that. They turn around and say, well, what is the NAACP going to do? What is the Urban League going to do? Hold up. First of all, we didn't know about this, and we're just finding out about it, so let us look into it and get back with you. We need to look into this and then give us your information. Now, I don't want to give you my information. Okay, well, you gave me the problem, and please tell me who I can talk to so when we find out what it is, we can come up with some type of plan of action where y'all should be handling it. Well, how can we when we don't know what it is? We can't just jump in every pool without finding out if the water is there first and if the water is not old. Like sometimes we want things, and then this new age too, the right now syndrome kicks in. So, people will say, I want the answer and I want it now. I'm not going to wait. Yep. You should already have my answer, and if you don't, I have no use for you. And we are our own worst enemy sometimes because everyone has a different point of view. The only way we're going to get somewhere is if all the points of view come to the table and we get to the middle of the bridge together. Because otherwise, you'll have 10 people thinking 10 different things and wanting to approach a problem 10 different ways. And the others continue to control it because they planned out what they wanted to do. They were able to wait and be patient with waiting to spring at the right time. And then from there, boom, they threw it out. And just like wolves to a pack of meat, we just jump on it. So we have to change the mindset of I may not agree with all of your what you have to say, but if I listen to it, there may be something in there that matches what I think. And we don't take the time to just listen.
We don't do that.
They say seek first to understand and then be understood. And we do it in the reverse order. We want everyone to understand us, and then we want to try and understand what someone else is thinking, but by then it's too late.
Yeah, that's good advice,
And this actually goes to both of y'all, and this is a question that has been asked me by some of the young activists here, and we've actually had this conversation come up